this is also going to be absolutely critical because we had 5 boats out, 5 of these race birds out for a qualifying session. Very different to racing. This time we have 5 race birds heading down into that Charlie buoy, or that C smart mark as they call it. All right, we have hit that 13-second mark. All of them are starting to move. The one on the outside lagging just a little bit. That's not what you want to see. And once again, that is Team Rafa. Here they come to the start line, and we've hit it. We are bows out. Final one is underway, and an absolutely superb start here as we get going. Team Westbrook, once again, that red race bird easing out in front. Drogba sitting in second, and way to the outside here. That is Rafa coming along as well.
Crucial moment here as we go into this only right-hand turn of this right-hand king into turn 3, 4, and 5 and the hairpin. This is where the entrance and the exit are absolutely crucial. And now we see Westbrook with a little bit of Team Brady coming in and causing some problems. No, it's all switched up, so Team Drogba, rather. Let's see how they exit this corner, because whoever has the lead here has a real chance of sticking in clean water and building up a gap.
Boy, this is incredibly close here. Westbrook, again, that red racebird working that outside line, but right now they've lost that lead spot at this stage, and it's a drag race for that second spot. Right now, it is Westbrook and Team Blue Rising dueling it out at this stage. Really close stuff. Lisa Battaglia trying to stay with Sarah Price in the Westbrook boat, but right now, Yusuf Al Abdul Razak, the Razak attack, as you talked about, he is once again having an amazing run. But look at this big run here. Absolutely fantastic. Coming up and making a big move. Emma Kimmelainen sliding through into third on the boost at just the right moment.
Everyone there using their boost on that sector, just using that straight, a chance to build up power going into this corner. Now it's getting pretty close as well onto this last section of the course circuit before we get back round to another lap. And now we start to think, when are people going to use their long lap? When does a strategy come into play? Because it's the difference between winning and losing.
Got to do one at some point in the race. You can do it on your last lap, but if you don't, it's an automatic disqualification. So it all comes down to the strategy. Look at the spray that is coming up. Oh, right there, you can see Sarah Price got that nose down just a little bit, caught a lot of spray up and over the top of the cockpit, and she is right now 3.6 seconds adrift of Yusuf Abdul Razak, who is really showing some solid form here. Then it is Sarah Price, then Emma Kimmelainen.
Team Drogba using their boost there, trying to build that gap, trying to maximize the time, create the gap needed in order to use the long lap and come out still in front, or if not that, with as little time lost as possible.
And I have to say, this is really impressive. This is the first time we've had 5 of these race birds do a start in a race incredibly clean. Everybody looked to maintain their lanes, and the racing is very close. Although Yusuf now, for the Team Drogba equip, has opened it up to about almost 8 seconds margin, but Sarah Price only 2.5 clear of Emma Kimmelainen, who's only 3 clear of Lisa Battaglia, and Chris Ladaraga is only a second back. She is doing everything she can to try and figure out a way through here. But look at this battle right here. Sarah Price trying to fend off the black boat, if you will, of Emma Kimmelainen for Brady. It's black and gold.
Absolutely, and then you look down further down the order, and actually the surprise really here is Christine Lazaraga and the Team Rafa. They've looked really good so far this weekend, but now not able to perform to the same level they have been in the semi-finals earlier today.
And you have to be able to adapt. That's the real key here. And look at Lucas Ordonez, who will be running then this red Westbrook boat in the second final, is really invested at this point, talking to the engineer, talking to the communicator. He's looking for any information he can possibly get. As we go back to this battle for fourth, Lisa Battaglia, again, the local driver, trying to hang on here in front of Chris Ladaraga. And again, that is a Team Blue Rising and Rafa battle. And Rafa is Rafa Nadal. And again, this is another one of these amazing owners that really, it's their force, their personality in many ways that drives these teams forward and motivates these pilots. They don't need a lot, but a little bit never hurts.
Yeah, both Team Blue Rising and Team Rafa have both used their long lap. Now waiting to see how Team Drogba, Team Westbrook and Team Brady use theirs. Their gap isn't quite big enough to go through unscathed. Potentially, maybe between third place and fourth place, but definitely not between Sarah Price in the Westbrook and Emma Kimmelainen in the Brady.
And you see up there, boost on or cool down. What's going on? You get 20 seconds of boost, then you have to wait for everything to cool down for 40 seconds. Then you get 20 seconds of boost again. And it depends really on strategy where you want to use the boost, because sometimes if you're going absolutely flat out without boost, then you boost up, it can destabilize the race bird just a little bit. So do you use it on a straight? Do you use it digging out of a corner? We've actually seen it here. They've used it going into turns to try and really carry speed through the corners as well. It's been deployed pretty much everywhere here.
It's a great advantage when you use it properly, but it's all about that balance. You want to make sure you're using that boost when you're settled, when the race bird is sitting at that perfect point above the water to maximize the speed and not get caught up in anything coming in from side to side, wake, chop, or even the foil just sticking out the water a little bit. So it's very crucial that you hit it at the right time, but it does make a huge difference when it's done well.
Look at this battle once again. The margin 1.8 seconds. Lisa Hussein Battaglia in that multicolored with the gold cockpit canopy. That is the Team Blue Rising boat. And then Team Rafa with the orange top and the purple sides. That is Chris Ladaraga, and the two of them are dueling right now for the 4th spot. The margins between the rest have opened up just a little bit. This is the most fierce battle we have on the course.
Barely a second between them, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. They're just staying in with each other, which is quite surprising considering how when you're trying to follow someone in front, the wake it kicks up really disturbs the balance of the race bird, but seemingly doing really well to keep that battle going.
And the guy who has been mega impressive here, of course, is Yusuf Al Abdul Razak at this point, but he has not done his long lap yet, and his margin is very iffy whether he could do the long lap and hang on to that lead. So this is going to be incredible to watch it unfold here right now. And it looks as though Emma Kimmelainen has gone around Sarah Price and has actually done it by a fair chunk. So I think that Sarah must have had a little issue somewhere, because Emma has gone through into second. Team Brady on the prowl once again.
Yeah, Team Drogba now the only ones not to use their long lap, maybe getting done here because there is a very comfortable lead now, 23 seconds we're looking at, where they're more than you would need, almost double the amount lost going through the long lap. So surely this is the lap they do it. Well, it has to be the final lap.
Yeah, it's the final lap, so it has to happen here. And what will happen, folks, after this final runs, there's a little bit of downtime. You switch pilots. The other pilots go out, and of course there's 2 pilots per team, 1 male, 1 female. The other pilots go out, and once they're done, there are points aside to where you finish. They tally up the points. The highest finishers win the weekend. 2nd and 3rd will be on the podium, and of course then they earn their championship points. And right now it is Yusuf Abdul Razak who is absolutely flying for Team Drogba and doing an incredible job. And clearly Sarah had an issue, because her lap time on that lap when Emma went through went to a 1:56. Emma came through at a 1:36, and that's why suddenly Yusuf Al Abdul Razak, that margin, which had been only 15 seconds if you recall, and we were talking about it was being tight, bloomed up to about 26 seconds. That would explain it. He now has plenty of room, and I have to say, his teammate is a young gal named Oban Duncan, and what we saw her do in her semifinal was simply extraordinary. And you got to think, wow, what an opportunity here for Team Drogba.
It was Duncan dominance, let's say. It was incredible work. So yeah, it makes it even more exciting to know what's coming up in the second final, ultimately with those combined scores, then ultimately deciding how this weekend finishes.
All right, here we go. This is the final lap. Yusuf Al Abdul Razak has done everything right. He went through, did that long lap, about 13 seconds. It shaved off of that. Still has a 13-second margin. As we'd expect, Emma Kimmelainen doing a brilliant job of fighting through, but coming to the line and winning the first final. It is Yusuf Al Abdul Razak, Team Drogba, getting the win in the first final. The team erupts. Oh, look at that. Everybody absolutely thrilled with that finish here. Didier Drogba, the owner of this team, talk about a guy who's got championship pedigree. Clearly, he has made it work. Here comes Emma Kimmelainen, bringing Brady through into second place of the first of the 2 finals, and then Sarah Price into 3rd, doing a very, very solid job as well. And who's going to win this battle for 4th? It has raged all race long, and it looks like Lisa Hussein Battaglia is going to hang on. There she is, and makes the win. Tightest right-hander we have had so far this year, and that has created some excitement, even contact on occasion here. And so The boats, they are at 20 seconds. Once they get, well, there we go. Oban Duncan moving a little bit early. The rest of the group starting to come alive and come with her. It's all about timing it, folks. You get to that start-finish line, you need to get there just as the 30-second count runs out and be ready to go. Oban had to back down just a little bit. She's going to get overrun, and here goes Lucas Ordonez, and he just blew by here. And look at Shop as well on the right of your screen, getting a great start as well. And I don't think Oban really planned that to have to wait. And now these 3 boats on the outside have to stay to the right. They did that, maintain their lane to perfection. We're off.
That was an incredible start from Team Westbrook there. They chose their line perfectly in the middle and just did excellently well to get on the power early, and it almost not have to slow down at all on those starting gates like you saw with some of the others.
Now, side by side, look down to the inside, though. That was an absolutely superb move there by Tom Schaap. Steals away that lead place, used that inside line. It has been incredibly effective, and he's done it. He's through. Now let's see what Lucas does. Does he try and square and get down to the inside? Schaap covered that, wouldn't let him have that lane.
Perfect position to make that move now coming onto this start, this longer straight on the back end of the circuit where there's so much chance to build up speed, and if you've got a good balance, you're in clean water and it can go a long way.
Yeah, Lucas Ordonez there, that is the Westbrook Racing team. It's owned by Will Smith. That's his production studio, so he opted to name it after that. And he is now just watching right now Tom Schaap for Team Rafa, but he's got to be a little careful because look what Oban Duncan just did. She was off to the left. Now she has swung way out to the outside, trying to open the angle up into this very tight hairpin corner here, the tightest on the track. Let's see what she's going to be able to do. Sam Coleman sitting back there in 4th, not gaining but not losing much ground. Tom Brady a little bit concerned about why are we sitting back here, but again, it's early in this race. We're only completing lap 1.
You can see how much the wake affects each other when they get into the back of each other as in front, and now Team Westbrook are doing well to hold out in this position, but there is still a lot of this race left to go, and we have the whole other strategy side of things on when to use the long lap still to come.
That's true. Everybody has to do one of those long laps, and you see that graphic, combined standings. And now that we've had one semifinal or one final in the books, as it sits right now with Drogba where they are, this would be they would win. Is what that combined standings is saying. They would win the event, and so that's the key to keep watching here. And every pass that can change. So keep that in mind. And look how close this is. Again, Lucas Ordonez, after Schaap opened it up a little bit, Lucas has come right after him and is only 3 seconds back. And by the time they get to the next sector, I think, yeah, it is. It's down to 1.7. Lucas driving absolutely brilliantly right now and opening it up just a little bit over Oban Duncan, sitting back there in 3rd.
You got Team Brady and Team Blue Rising both using their long lap there. The gap being about 14 seconds is very much within that window of that margin of potentially be able to come back out when other people use their long lap, essentially almost like an undercut situation.
Well, and it's a great strategy move too, because you're sitting 4th and 5th. You're in the wake of 3 boats in front of you that are dueling. Do your long lap. That'll let you come around when you get to the merge. It'll be a lot smoother, calmer sea, and you can maybe run a little bit faster. And exactly as you said, you know, instead of changing tires, you're just changing the surface that you're racing on. But it's the same concept, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And let's see how the other teams react and see if any of the top 3 opt to use their long lap on this lap. Then we'll get an idea of the time lost versus the ones that have already activated it.
Tom Schaap right now, and you know, we had a chat with him after the round 3 event at Puerto Banús, where he did admittedly made a mistake, pushed too hard, nosed in the really rough seat, broke the front of the boat, and he was clearly annoyed with himself and made it pretty clear that won't happen again. And I think right now this is you know, sort of his way to be able to make good for that and do everything he possibly can to bring them home with a win here, at least a podium. And he's doing a brilliant job right now. He stretched that out again over Lucas to 8 seconds at this point. So right now, and I think a lot of that, because Lucas has been driving brilliantly, I think it's just Lucas continues to get trapped in the wake, and there's just not a lot he can do about it.
Yeah, it's one of the unfortunate things that happens here if you are chasing and you aren't leading. But yeah, just to go back to Tom, he mentioned earlier in the week about the challenges of adapting to life in E1. It was some of the things being opposite to the way that he would think about within his powerboating success when it comes to using the trim, the kind of the height of the nose of the E-Bird going into corners. It works opposite. So he had to retrain his brain on how to race these versus how he's used to racing powerboats.
He is really putting on a solid performance right now. Oban Duncan, remember, it was her teammate that put together the win in that first semifinal, or final, Yusuf Al Abdul-Razak. And with her sitting in third right now, it's a little bit of a struggle at this stage. But now Sam Coleman sets a blazingly quick second sector. But the problem is he's back and forth. He has a lot of ground to make up right now as we take a look at Oban Duncan. And of course, Team Drogba watching this with a great interest at this stage and wondering what is she going to be able to do. In that semifinal, what she did was just amazing. Let's see if she can dig deep and find something here once again.
The gap just keeps growing here between Tom Chap for Rafa and Lucas Ordonez for Westbrook Racing. And a reminder here of a combined standing, because this is what matters, Greg, isn't it?
It really is. And at this stage, with Oban sitting in the third spot right now, with Yusuf having won, they would be, at this point, the winners of the event. And again, she just needs to stay at that stage here. Tom Shap doing everything he can. And what he really needs to have happen right now is to have Sam Coleman be able to get to Oban and get through and make a pass. And that might promote Rafa right back up to the top once again. That's how this can churn. This is how this can change.
The top three all still within maybe a long lap worth of time of each other. So it's going to be really interesting to see who pulls the trigger first, who uses that long lap. I think it's going to be probably maybe one of those things they all go for the last lap and just use this extra bit of time now before coming across the line to start the last lap to get ahead as much as possible.
I was going to ask you, look at what Lucas is doing. He's trying to find some smooth course and just not having any luck with it at all at this stage. Might it have been an idea for him to have done the long lap, because then he could have come back, maybe had a little bit cleaner water to be able to go a bit faster, exactly what you were talking about before. But he's so close. He's sitting in that close spot right there in second. Sometimes it's just tough to say, I don't want to bail on this. And as you see, white flag is out, last lap.
That's when it becomes strategy versus instinct, right?
Yes.
Because you know what might be right on paper, what might get you the win in the future, but right then you're racing and it's hard to think of anything otherwise.
Absolutely, and of course he's thinking, he knows, they're telling him, you've got to win this if we're going to win this event. And so he's saying, well, I'm trying to close, and this is what strategy is going to be the best here. And of course there you can see worried faces, everybody watching what's unfolding right now, and the long laps are starting.
Here we go. Let's see if they have planned this right, if they have enough of a gap to come out of the long lap still ahead, or whether the other teams behind will just creep in. It was only really Brady and Team Blue Rising that have done their young laps, so it actually worked out quite well for Tom and Team Rafa, because they don't really have the competition. I think it actually might even work even better, because Team Blue Rising and Team Brady might actually cause his competitors more of a problem than the leader.
Well, look at this, that move, and it's the inside boat that is supposed to get the right of way, and just that quick, Brady goes up from fourth into second. That is an incredible move, and slides around now on both Lucas Ordonez and Oban Duncan. So Sam Coleman, he's been putting together, I talked about, he had some incredibly fast sector times, and he's been putting them to good use. This is it, last lap, and it is Tom Shap for Rafa, Coleman for Brady. Now Westbrook has Lucas Ordonez, and Oban Duncan for Drogba, then Phelan for TBR. At this stage, it is incredibly close, and obviously the margin up front, Tom Shap has just driven brilliantly out of the last turn onto the final run. Team Rafa, Tom Shap get the win in final number 2. Look at the battle for second, incredibly close. It is Coleman and Ordonez at the line. It is Coleman for Team Brady. Ordonez finishes in the third spot for Team Westbrook, and then in fourth it will be Oban Duncan, and then Phelan Kavanaugh will be coming through to claim that fifth spot. How close do you like it? That was absolutely incredible in that battle for second, and what a strategically sound race Sam Coleman drove.
Yeah, that was the perfect balance of strategy, good racing, but also patience, for Team Brady to know that if we do this right and we stick in it, there's a chance on the last lap that we can make up positions, and that's exactly what happened. And here he is, a very delighted, very smiley team owner, Tom Brady. Let's go, he says.
Yeah, he just got the news. That is a win, third of them for the season, and only the fourth race. 3 wins for Team Brady and Sam Coleman, and he, obviously they had a strategy. based on what happened on the start, but he was the guy who had to execute it out there on the water, and what a race he put